Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone, Rovi and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about LIBRA and the deflationary aspect of all cryptocurrency that has imploded everybody's portfolios over the last couple of weeks.
Which are?
Memes.
Damn. So we're back on that. We're back on that plot line, dude. I thought memes were cool.
I thought so too. That's what Twitter has convinced me of.
And Murad, right?
That's right.
And Memecoin Moses. All these things, right?
That's true.
This was supposed to be the Memecoin super cycle that, like, you know, onboarded retail, you know, ushered in an era of mass adoption.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, transforms our own personal perception among our friends and peers in the world. It's like, you know what? Crypto people are all right because you brought us memes, right?
Right.
That's what
they told us.
Yeah. And here we are, probably like 4 months after that speech.
That's right, yeah.
And I don't think people are looking at us any more fondly than they were back then, right? Would you say?
No, they're not.
How would you assess the fallout?
They are looking at crypto as like the biggest scam ever.
I mean, they already were assuming that, right?
No, now it's confirmed.
Yeah, where you got actual presidents, like,
that's right,
actually extracting hundreds of millions of dollars in value out of people's pockets in like
in
less than a day.
Yeah, in a day.
A couple of hours, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane, the speed. If anything, we've innovated in the world of criminality. So there's something.
Yeah, I can't believe how that culminated. Like, how did the president talk to this kid? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of in a stupor right now, trying to like really wrap their heads around what is happening, how is this happening, and what do we do moving forward?
Yeah,
right? I mean, so these types of events don't happen too frequently, right? It's like FTX is another example of that, where it's like, how the fuck did this kid who like played League of Legos all day, you know, having VC meetings with like fucking
while he's
A16Z, while he's gaming, has like stupid pups running around, and he's like snorting lines of fucking Adderall and shit.
Yeah.
This was the guy who was like heading.
Yeah, he was in Congress.
Industry. Yeah, he was gonna step before the industry. He's like, this is how we should, you know, move forward, lads.
Yeah, how did we get there?
Yeah,
and like and how are we surprised of the result?
Yeah, so after FTX, it was like, hopefully this was like our, you know, let's buckle up.
Yeah.
Strap on the
old
try-hard boots.
And not only that, and put on the tie and the suit.
And ties, and like, let's clean up a little bit, guys, because, you know, we're letting a little too much slip through the cracks, and it's not good for our space.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you know, 2.5 years later, it doesn't seem like we've gone in the right direction.
Worse.
It got worse. Yeah. So typically you don't see this type of shit happening like in the middle of a bull run where Bitcoin is like hovering at its all-time highs. Right?
That's right.
So it's weird. We're in a weird space right now.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, if you look into like search for LIBRA, you'll find this like pretty handy tweet here that goes through the entire timeline of like 72 hours of what occurred during the LIBRA launch. So we got the launch, KOL involvement. This is something that we predicted kind of early on in the meme space, is that, you know, free and fair, cool idea.
Yeah, it's good
on paper, good for the community.
It's a good ethos, right? It's like, you know, us small ball investors, you know, we're tired of getting like domed by the big VCs, right? Because you know, they're the ones who get all the pre-sale allocation at a 10x lower value or 10x lower valuation than whenever the token hits the open markets.
Yeah.
So they get that instant 10x and more. You know, it's not fair.
Yeah.
So like, you know, this pumponomics, memetics opportunity is like, it's a way to flip the narrative, right?
Yeah, and so we have this free and fair kind of like ethos spawn. It was in Bitcoin. It was basically, you know, all the memes, right? Or kind of leveraging this idea.
Yeah.
But we said that this idea can be gamed as well through KOLs and through anyone who had impact, right? And so what happened is that insiders like sniped launches. They basically set up this kind of game where they would only win just in the same way that investors would only win in a token launch.
Yeah, because we saw last cycle, like, you know, a network of collusion kind of form before our eyes. We saw it happen where it's like, you know, projects or VCs would form like a cabal essentially, and then they would form their own launch mechanisms, right? Their own launch pads. They called them IDOs last cycle. They wrapped a whole new name around like essentially this similar activity, right? The idea is to aggregate attention around the launch of a new coin. Which onboarded a lot of speculative volume and blah, blah.
And do like a DEX offering where you would only sell like 1% of the tokens.
Correct. Yeah. So the cabal formulated its own like pumpamentals and its own like.
Yeah, and I feel like this way is way worse because you could share the contract address before it really made public rounds, and then people could position themselves accordingly, and then as soon as the liquidity is provisioned, they would buy like the tokens at the lowest price possible, and then they would start tweeting. Token price goes up, they start selling, and then it's like,
there's even deeper allegations now to these bigger, like the massive meme coin launches of recent times, like Trump and Melania, and like this one now with Libra. Like there's collusion among like the platforms based on Solana, like, you know, Meteora and Jupiter and all these different like you know, protocol platforms, whatever, that support liquidity for these tokens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And these employees that work at these companies, they get to see the contract address when they're implementing it within their own software. How can you confirm that they're not sharing it within their own Telegram group?
Yeah, it's almost inevitable, right? And it's something, we assumed would happen, right? Like everything that it started off with this nice organic narrative of like kind of like GameStop, right? It's like this is the opportunity for you know, the common man to get in first before like the big money guys. Like, let's punch up for once. Starts off like that, but eventually it gets corrupted and gamed, and now everybody's involved in mostly an only lose situation.
This is not a surprise to us. We knew this was going to happen. Right. There's no way that memes had some sort of like longevity. Now, memes will have longevity to a certain extent, like the actual memetic component to a meme will have the longevity. But the tokens themselves, they will all go down roughly 99%. On average.
The substance of memes that's actually valuable is it's the community, right? Like that's what's not going away.
Correct.
Memes were just like the best vehicle for aggregating that
tokenizing that community.
Tokenizing and incentivizing the alignment of like an internet community to form. Like memes are very powerful for that. Just as NFTs were last cycle, just as we assume the metaverse will be in the future, right? So it's like at the core of everything, it's like bringing people together, right? And that's where Murad, I almost said Nomad, Murad, he got right. You know, we're in an era of humanity where we're lacking these like social connections, right? So we actually have this natural affinity for, you know, online connection. And memes can facilitate that. Now, like whenever you get like this crazy and this frothy, you know, it's not even about that anymore.
It gets taken advantage of by people who have like a ton of influence. It's pretty easy to get intel on a contract address and position yourself accordingly before you send out that tweet. And that is what was happening at the large scale.
So unfortunately, I guess this day has come. We're here. We're witnessing it. Like, you know, our predictions came true. So it's like the subsequent prediction to this was like, okay, this is like the catalyst for this pendulum to swing back to the other direction, right? Which is like, let's go back to supporting fundamentals and like actually trying to address real problems. You know, what are some vectors within our crypto space that can actually do some real good, not just be like this wild, massively unregulated, massively unfair casino type of activity.
That's right.
So I think people are starting to also gravitate towards that, you know.
We'll see here that sentiment kind of, you could see the pendulum like actively swinging back.
Like it's literally like it's on its way, right? You know, if you don't know what a pendulum is,
it's like Google physics.
It's a physics thing, right? It just has a constant motion, right?
And
it doesn't stop.
Well, it eventually stops because of air friction and friction at the top.
Loss of momentum.
All right, so this tweet, definitely go through it. It's kind of, it's good length here, but ultimately is like, that's the culprit, allegedly. But he's taking pictures with the Argentinian president, so that's legit.
That seems pretty legit to me. Damn, that guy looks pretty cool. Looks like he's like straight out of like Fallout Boy or something like that, you know, some early 2000s emo band.
Or straight out of like playing Counter-Strike.
No, not that guy.
This
president.
Guy. Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet emo slick, dude.
That is pretty sweet.
That's a good slick.
No, you should see his other pictures. He looks like he's from the 1900s. He's got like a huge like sideburn and
like he should be like in like a coat, like
exactly,
like Napoleon
a trench
Bonaparte.
coat. Yeah.
Well, you're from the 1900s.
Well,
I think you meant maybe
early
like,
1900s,
maybe like 18 or 1700s. I think is what you meant.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah.
Good point, TJ. Way to like really like recenter us in our where we are in time.
All right. Okay, so there's that tweet. Let's take a look at this one. It says, "We have gone full circle. The reason we all started hating VC projects is because they got in early and just dumped on us. The response was meme coins because even though they have insiders, at least they launch at a low valuation."
Yeah, exactly.
It says meme coin launches have become so efficient that it's basically equally hard to get in early as with VC projects, and all the tokens are unlocked at launch. A meme coin goes through the same as a VC coin just within 1 hour. Yeah, so that's been what's been happening over the last 4 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you've been participating in this, I mean, it's not just dangerous from like a financial perspective. It's dangerous like from an emotional like. Because I don't think human beings are meant to experience like this level of emotional volatility.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit more easier to handle when these types of cyclical activities play out over like much longer time horizons. Yeah. Like they typically do. Well, it'll take like a year for like a boom and a bust to play out.
Yeah, for sure. Like over the year, we're like, you know, is everyone capitulating? It's like, maybe not. Maybe we're going to return. And it's like continuously going down. It's like, after 6 months of like diagnoses, it's like, we capitulated.
That's right. You just kind of live through it, and you're like, I guess that was it, right? But in this case, it's like, man, it's like you're taking actual like bullets in real time.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's harsh. You know, like that's not good. That's really bad for people.
Yeah.
But again, it's
gambling.
It's a free market, right? You can opt to participate or not. I mean, nobody's putting a gun to your head to do this stuff.
Don't you get the same sort of rush at a gambling like facility, a casino? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you get to experience the highs and lows. So
like instantaneously.
Yeah, that is kind of the point.
Yeah.
You know, it is a very doomish cycle. If you get really hooked on that, man, that's bad.
Yeah,
I've seen some people really get wrecked by.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Not crypto gambling, not whatever this is.
Traditional regulated gambling.
Yeah, the real source of it all. That stuff. You know?
Yeah. All right, look at this tweet. Andy says the return to fundamentals will be glorious.
I feel like I have to agree.
It will be glorious, but I feel like there's an incompatibility between fundamentals and like the current day demographic of crypto users. So it's like you have like a ton of people gambling, and then all of a sudden you think they're just going to switch their mentality.
I think, so we've already experienced that, like for like fundamentals kind of like massively disappointed us last cycle, right? Because it was like a cycle of fundamental attempts, right? With the more structured, ordered, you know, organizations and foundations and tokenomics and all that stuff, right? And then it resulted in mostly nothing.
Yeah, I see.
And so that broke everybody's mentality to like, okay, let's go to the memes. So right now we're literally living in it's breaking our mentalities again. It's like, you know what? This doesn't work either. It's actually worse.
Yeah.
Or possibly more detrimental. So we can't go on this direction. So it's either pendulum swings back or there's something else out there that we're not even like identifying.
Maybe it's like innovating on like the VC model where you don't launch your token at $1 billion market cap. Maybe that's where we start.
You mean like ICOs?
Yeah, do an ICO, but don't launch the token at $1 billion market cap.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's...
Does an ICO like EOS need to raise $4 billion?
No.
Is that like necessary to launch a blockchain? No, it's not.
Yeah, I agree. This is an opportunity for a new disruptive model for sure. It's like pumped out fun and the meme wave brought in a lot of like actual good utilities, like bonding curves serve a real function when it comes
100%.
to like discovering viability within like a nascent market or like a low liquidity environment, stuff like that. Like that's fundamentally valuable contribution to the space.
Yeah.
Now
Anyone should be able to launch a token, whatever it is, and discover that viability through this bonding curve, where the market cap, when you see liquidity, is at $100,000, give or take.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what needs to happen next is a little bit more structured, like longevity management systems, I guess.
Longevity alignment.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So expect that, like new iterations moving forward, where we don't completely abandon things that were working at one point in time. It's just we need further iteration, right?
Yeah. So many moons ago, we used to talk about Andre Cronje in the early days of the podcast, and there was a certain point where he kind of disappeared because he was fed up with all the silliness of crypto,
I remember that.
And now he's back with Phantom, switching over to Sonic. Yeah,
it's just an S.
It's just an S. Yeah,
it's for Sonic. Yeah. So if the strategy now moving forward is let's pivot to fundamentals or like actual people building, something. I think DeFi is worth re-exploring, of course, and because Andre has like a history last cycle of delivering very successful DeFi products. He's built his own chain.
He's
specific for this stuff.
He's the DeFi godfather.
Yeah, DeFi Jesus, literally.
Yeah, remember? There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's back, and there's some interesting metrics here that, you know how we like to do it. It's like if there's some evidence of traction, typically you want to at least like start paying attention, right? In the events like this is like fully organic, because traction can be faked.
Yeah.
And it often is.
Yeah.
Right. But nonetheless, you have to peer in and see if like this is organic, and if there's any potential new innovations emerging from that ecosystem. Right.
Yeah. So the 1.65 billion market cap for Sonic, and I think the TVL is kind of nearing close to $1 billion. And so here's the dashboard for Sonic Labs. And it's essentially a bunch of DeFi products kind of like put together, right? We see Curve,
a lot
Kyber Swap. These are like pretty traditional DeFi projects.
Yeah, a lot of the like OG ones, but there's some
Sushi,
new ones.
Sushi Swap, dude.
Yeah, there's some new ones that I've seen kind of like emerging from within this ecosystem. So we'll probably do a deep dive. I don't know, maybe this week or the next or whatever, if you guys want us to kind of like see if there's anything really interesting here as far as like a low cap,
opportunity.
Yeah.
So here we are. So market cap right now is 1.8 billion. Max supply infinite. And circulating 3.1 billion. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, I would factor in, as far as like L1 race, TVL matters a lot. If the TVL continues to exceed into the billions, then you've got a significant traction, in context of like other L1s in the DeFi space. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and look at this. So this chart goes back to January, so not too long ago. But it's only down 40% from like the difference. And keep in mind, this used to be Phantom, FTM. Now it's Sonic.
Yeah.
Right. So there is some prior history here, but.
Correct.
But yeah, it's not down 99% like many other meme tokens.
Yeah. So something we're going to keep an eye on. Also, so if you're trying to build conviction overall, like in, separate thesi within the market that's like not so rooted in meme coinery, obviously something we've been focused on is AI. Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so this tweet is pretty long. It's basically an article. I do recommend you guys read it. But this tweet is about AI. It doesn't mention BitTensor so much, but it's revolves around the concept of actually building an AI product that leverages decentralization, where it is comparable to Google and OpenAI.
Correct. Yeah, which is that I think. Yeah, if you're trying to figure out like what has crypto done, like is there any like evidence of a product that can really disrupt like the nature of things? DeFi was a good example of that. DeFi has the potential
to supplant banks.
Yeah, to bank the unbanked.
Yeah,
right? That was the mission of yesteryear.
Yeah,
right. And people were aligned, and it brought a lot of energy into our space and a lot of innovation. Right. So I think AI is going to experience similar things.
Yeah,
right?
totally agree.
Yeah, and this thread kind of walks you through a reasonable pathway to.
Yeah.
It's not a total LARP, guys.
Yeah,
You
no.
know what I mean?
No, like I think crypto has something to offer to the AI space.
Yeah.
Right? And it's being developed. One of them is BitTensor, another one is Noose Research.
Yeah, they're comparing, News to like Google.
That's right.
And different initiatives like I guess within that open source ecosystem that's like working on their own models for like distributed training.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Noose is right there with them with their own like model. Right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And knowing with the knowledge that at some point they're going to have a much bigger like Web3 ecosystem presence on Solana should be interesting to follow, right?
Yeah, 100%. And just continuing on the fundamentals, we have an issue brewing on Bitcoin. Believe it or not, Bitcoin is in trouble. And
it really is.
And that isn't, we're not, embellishing there. Like, it's a real problem. And so this guy is suggesting this is the biggest problem we aren't talking about. So there's a picture of the mempool. And so what do we see here? That there was a few days ago, essentially the mempool, meaning the transactions that are in queue to get added to the blockchain, are essentially zero. Yeah. Right? There's no so you have a $2 trillion network. No one's performing any transactions on this $2 trillion network.
Right.
And it's called Bitcoin. So like, how does that work?
Well, it's because of the,
because of the narrative.
Yeah, right. What originated as a peer-to-peer cash initially by Satoshi in that OG community, right?
Yeah.
It's like we need to get Bitcoin to the point where like, it's people around the globe are, interacting financially with this instrument. Therefore, let's develop Lightning layer and all this stuff. And that's not really working out.
No.
So, okay, fast forward to recent times. Okay, then we should build an ecosystem on top of Bitcoin with ordinals and BRC20s and runes and tap and DMT, all this stuff, right? That should bring in a lot of activity. Well,
it did, but not, it wasn't sustainable, obviously.
Correct. So this is, but in context of how you understand what incentivizes Bitcoin to remain as secure as it is, it is that subsidy, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and ultimately, like the narrative shift between peer-to-peer cash, which is on the white paper, versus like today's narrative of like a store of value.
Just buy and hold, right?
I feel like the store of value is probably the ultimate, probably ultimate intended goal for Bitcoin to be that, right? But that conflicts with its funding mechanism, which is like transaction fees. So if everyone's buying and holding, that means that there's no transactions and there's no transaction fees. So how do you expect the security to maintain? And if security declines, how is this a store of value with low security, right? They conflict. And so that's why we're bullish on the NAT token and DMT, because that is the whole point, is the NAT token is generated per block, and then that new generation of NAT tokens gets directed as a second subsidy to the miners.
Yeah, totally. I think you knocked it out of the park, dude. So NAT has like all the properties of like
sustainability,
of a meme coin, but of a new category, right? Which I think is really important. It has a very high supply. It's fairly distributed. There is no team or VC allocation, none of that.
Yep.
But it has like an actual fundamental purpose to it, right? Which most meme coins do not.
Yeah.
And it has that mission alignment with the Bitcoin network itself to sustain, the security indefinitely, right? So there's a much deeper story and narrative around all that.
Yeah.
How NAT is produced, the DMT mechanism behind all that, the TAP protocol track indexing network that supports that.
Oh yeah, it goes
ordinals.
Deep. This is a rabbit hole, guys.
Yeah, so it's another vector of worth exploring, just to kind of like make sure you're, paying attention, and in response to this pendulum now like swinging back into a much more focused on fundamentals approach, right?
Yeah. So what we call the NAT redirect, so that's like the new NAT tokens that are generated or being directed to the miners, is going to be happening in the next week or so. And so we're going to have a nice interface that you can click on a miner and see how many NAT tokens that they've generated and earned through mining Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so all that will be kind of shared in a subsequent video with more details around that. So if you have any questions around the NAT token, memes, and AI, just definitely let us know in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.